All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be talking about our new assignment, the revised article summary. So first off, it's pretty straightforward telling you what this is going to be right there in the title. This is going to be a revision of either article summary 2 or 3. So which one should you use? Generally speaking, you should use whichever out of 2 or 3 got the better grade. Now, just keep in mind, I'm talking 2 or 3. You can't revise first article summary. It has to be the one that you found one of those 2 that you found the articles for. Can't be that first one that I gave you the article for. So you can't do a revision over the one about the school start times. Okay. Now, I said in most cases I would choose the one that you did better on, got the better grade. There is one exception to that, however. If the one you did better on, you lost some points on source as well, while the one that you did worse on, you were okay on source, I'd still pick the worst one in that case. Because here's the thing, if your source isn't good, namely that the article that you're summarizing is not the right sort of article, then there's nothing you can do in a revision that can fix that. So you might as well start with the one that, even if originally got a lower grade, you could still fix to a better case than the one that, hey, you just started over the wrong kind of article. And while we're on that, I did want to kind of point this out that I've been seeing a lot of these article summaries. While I'm making this video, I haven't finished grading all of them, but I've graded a number of them. And I've been seeing a number of them in which the article is not a viewpoint article. And that is a little bit of an issue because here's the thing, guys. Just because it is reporting on an argument, that doesn't make it a viewpoint article. If your author is a journalist who interviewed someone who feels strongly about something, makes an article, that's not a viewpoint article. A viewpoint article means that the author themselves is making that argument. So it's in, we should, stuff like that. It's not, Jones says we should do this. That's not a viewpoint article. If the author is in their own voice saying the U.S. should A, B, and C, then we're talking a viewpoint article. Places you need to look is the title. I can usually tell within an instant of glancing at a title if you used a viewpoint article or not. Most of the time, viewpoint articles will not be phrased as questions. They're going to be phrased as answers to questions. Not always, but most of the time. And the second place to look is the conclusion. If the final conclusion is, there are a lot of viewpoints and we've looked at some of them, that's not a viewpoint article. Conclusion of a viewpoint article is going to have some pretty defined, we should do this, or this is the way that we should look at this, that sort of thing. Okay, so anyway, off my soapbox on that one, let's go back to looking at the paper itself. Okay, so like I said, you'll be revising either your second or third article summary. Okay, not your first one. You're going to have a chance to get you've gotten some feedback from me already when I graded it, but you're also going to have a chance to get some feedback from a peer partner when you team up together and swap papers and look at each other's papers. So using the feedback from both of those, you'll revise your paper, and the rubric on this is the same as the previous 2 article summaries 2 and 3. So you're pretty familiar with that already, as well as the requirements. The requirements are the same. The only difference is now you're revising one that you've gotten some feedback on. So everything else is pretty much the same there. So I did want to mention a couple other things that I've noticed. We're still running, more people have added in style and organization since I commented on that first time, but the majority are still not really, at least not hitting style. Now, just to clarify, style is not you saying, okay, he has a nice style. You're not judging it, but you do need to comment on the way that words are being used. Is he or she using informal language and a lot of colloquialisms with a lot of personal connection, or are they using very formal, kind of almost scholarly type language to make this argument in this very, kind of fact-based and, almost objective sort of way? So talk about the style, talk about the organization as well. I'm seeing a fair amount of sort of, sometimes intentional, but sometimes unintentional use of injecting your own bias into the argument, okay? So remember, this is not an evaluation of the argument. You are not supposed to say anywhere whether or not you think this article has done a good, bad job or whatever, or that they're reporting well, that they are, that they're correct in their solutions. You're just supposed to say what they're doing, not whether they're doing a good job of it or not. More commonly than I am seeing some people who did just straight up say that, yeah, they made a good argument or something like that, and that's obviously going to lose you some points on fairness there. More commonly, what I'm seeing is people being sloppy about attributing the authors, in which you're just stating their statements, and it's unclear that you're reporting on what they said, and because of the way your sentences are structured, and so it comes across like you saying it directly. And you always need to make it clear that Smith argues, according to Jones, he further states that, so you're clear that you are just reporting on what your article says. You're not adopting that as your own viewpoint. Okay, so I am seeing some issues there a little bit. Seeing what else. Oh, a lot of you, well, a number of you, there's been a few of you at least who just forgot to put the rhetorical situation. Remember, you have to go through all 6 elements of that rhetorical situation at the beginning of your summary. You need to talk about who the audience is, what persona is being used, all that kind of stuff at the beginning of your summary. And that needs to be clearly laid out. And then even more so, because I'm seeing this even more commonly than just forgetting to put the rhetorical situation there, you need to say how you know those things. You can't just say, the audience is so-and-so. Okay, how do you know that? You have to make that case, okay? Seeing anything else that I'm noticing a lot of. Found a number of poorly integrated quotations. So you're seeing a lot of those green highlights. You need to go back and look at the quotation integration sheet that I gave you, because that's what that means. You're seeing a lot of blue highlights. That means that your formatting's off. You need to go look at proper MLA formatting. Remember, you cannot just plug a citation into a citation generator and just copy and paste the result it gives. You have to go check it on OWL at Purdue against their models of what a properly formatted citation for that type of source is. If it doesn't, because those citation generators, they can be useful, but they get stuff wrong. It's something wrong, I'd say about 60 to 70% of the time. So if you're just using it uncritically, you're going to make mistakes. All right, just going to see anything else. Oh yes, I don't remember if I mentioned organization and style. Anyway, we need to make sure we're covering organization and style. I'm seeing more of that, but still the majority are at least not getting style in the papers. So you need to indicate like the type of language being used and such. Final due date, well, it's right there. It's September 19th in Canvas. That's Friday. Now, guys, that's also the end of the 6 weeks, which means that, yeah, you really can't turn it in late because we're out of time. By the end of that day, 6 weeks is up, and unless you've got an excused absence or something like that that gives you a very good reason for not having your paper turned in, then I'm just not going to accept it. And you just dropped a whole letter grade on your college course right there, because I'm not taking your paper if it's not turned in by the end of the 6 weeks. So yeah, there's a number of y'all that haven't turned in a single article summary now. I don't really know what you think you're doing in this class at this point, because if you won't turn work in, you shouldn't be in the class, quite frankly. So if you're running into issues, then I need to hear this. You can't just sit there and flail and not say anything to me. I need to hear from you what's going on. so we can figure it out. But if you just keep on, not turning anything in, then, you're there's really not a point in you being here. Okay? So, all right. So the rubric is the same as before. Yeah. Nothing really new here, with the one exception, and that now you'll see that there's two numbers in two of these categories, these two middle categories. That's because it's 100 points at the high school and at the college level. Works a little different, but basically it's the same thing. And so the top points are always going to be the same, and since the bottom points are always 0, there's not going to be a difference here. But if you'll notice in these two in-between categories, the first number here is the college grade. The second is the high school grade. So, say you lost 2 points from fairness, or 3 points from fairness on your high school paper. Well, that's now 5 points on your college paper, and that's what your college grade is going to be. So if you just turn in the same unrevised summary, then your college points are going to drop to lower, and you didn't get 100 on it or something. Your college points are going to drop to lower than your high school points were, because more points are counted off. Unless you just got 0, then 0 is 0. So take note of that. And if you're wondering, the college side of this rubric is essentially taken directly from UT OnRamp's rubric. I mean, I did alter it there. I added the rhetorical situation category because I felt like that was important, and rebalance some of the weights as far as how much is given for each category. But largely it's the same rubric, and it's the same sort of grade point changes on the rubric. So just heads up on that. Anyway, so that's that. This is your first college graded assignment, and I wish you best of luck on it. And I'm going to be out Monday afternoon. So those of you who are in my first period class, I'll be talking through this. But those of you in 5th and 6th, that's why I'm making this little video here, to talk you through it. And then I'm going to be out also Tuesday and Wednesday. Just a reminder, Tuesday we have our 6-week test, and that's going to be in class administered by a sub. There's a death. My wife's father passed away, and so we're in the middle of funerals and all that sort of thing going on right now. So anyway, that's why I'll be out all day Tuesday and Wednesday and half the day on Monday. I'll be back on Thursday, but as always, feel free to email me any questions you have before that point. Or you can just wait until Thursday and I can talk to you then in class. So that's up to y'all. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and sign off now, and y'all have a wonderful day, and I will see everybody back on Thursday. Okay, goodbye.